hold people back. And if you don't have a car, or you don't have a computer, or maybe you feel a little lack of self-confidence, a lot of people do, if they don't have good support systems, it's hard to go all over town and make cold calls and get the services you need. So that's the purpose of this campus, is to bring as much as possible of that together in a convenient place. Broadway has great bus service. We have good visibility here to make it convenient for people to come in and get those needs met so they can move ahead in their lives. So we are trying to do as much as we can to help people find those pathways out of poverty. And we know that'll be a little bit different for each person because everybody's in a little bit different situation. The reason we decided to, we've thought about housing for a long time. And in fact, we do spend a significant amount of money that is earned through our stores to provide some affordable housing. We have some housing, I think we have about 80 beds over in the Fincastle building around 3rd and Broadway. And we lease those in our names and lease those and provide housing for several months, up to a year, for people who really can't afford any rent at that point in their journey. But we see people leaving that housing, and we see a lot of people who we can't accommodate in that housing because we have only, the need is far greater than 80 beds. What is that next step? And is there a next step that's affordable for them? For some people there is, and for some people there's just not much. And they end up in places that aren't necessarily where they want to be, or they give them the stability that they need to really move ahead in their lives. So we thought, well, we're doing that Fincastle building. We can't just keep doing that because it's expensive and we don't have a revenue source for that. So we thought, how else can we do housing? And so Mark Holman, who's going to talk to you next, has kind of gone to school on that. He's been meeting with a lot of people. He's been just learning about different types of funding that might be available, different types of housing, what those different designations mean, and is there a fit for us to be able to expand what we have to offer in housing so that we can help more people be able to move ahead. So one of the things that he learned about is the low-income housing tax credits, which are pretty competitive, especially the kind that Woda Cooper and Goodwill went together to apply for, and we were fortunate to be awarded some of those tax credits to be able to build a new apartment complex. Part of what got us some points was that we had some land still available on this campus to be able to contribute to that project, and so that is where the apartments are going to go, and I think we'll do we have a way to show people where that is?
Yeah, Google Maps, we can do it.
Okay, good. So we didn't have to have this community meeting, but we thought that it would be a good idea just to offer that opportunity to inform people that are interested in this. That's why we're here tonight, and so we welcome any questions that you have. We're gonna have several people talk and give you as much information as we can, and then see what you would like to know from us. Now, Mark Holman is our CFO here at Goodwill, and as I said, he's kind of in the lead role in learning how this all works and finding a way for us to participate. And he's been our lead contact with our new partners, Woda Cooper, who we're really excited about. And so Mark is going to tell you a little bit more about that, especially because you may not be familiar yet with Woda Cooper. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mark.
Great.
That's great. I'm bringing you everywhere. Well, Emery's going to speak next, so I won't speak long. But I will get the Google Maps to clear up exactly where this is going to be. And so we were going to talk about that. But what I was tasked with doing was finding permanent housing that Goodwill could partner with a reputable, strong partner that will maintain this property forever and ever. because this is our campus forever and ever. Goodwill's been around 100 years. And so if we're here 100 more, you know, this is our home along with Norton Healthcare. So I did this, the tax credit piece, and what I understand is when a tax credit is put into a project that costs a lot of money, what's left will be amortized. That's on the CFO, so I have to use one fancy word. But the rents could be less, the rents could be affordable. So if we were to get together and try to build a big apartment complex next door, we would have to charge a lot per month just to make it work. So we learned about this, and then we went and met every developer that we could find. And we found a developer that fit the needs of what Goodwill Kentucky did when they came and did a needs assessment here, which was finding housing that I'm working and I need to find housing that I can fit in my budget. We also have a special tilt towards our mission, which is to end poverty in Kentucky. And so that's important to us. We want people to be able to look at people as individuals, and Voda Cooper does that. And that's what I think they came all the way down. Some of them are in Kentucky, some in Columbus. But they look at people as individuals, because we all are individuals, we all have histories, good, bad, and different, right? Whatever happened to me, maybe to no fault of my own growing up. And I think that they treat people as individuals and as human beings. So we do that too. And so I'm proud to have Voda Cooper as our partner. Other good developers do good work. They just understand our mission, they understand why we're doing it, and they understand people make mistakes, and sometimes you need a second chance. So that's why we chose Voda Cooper, and they're also experts at doing this, and they maintain, we looked at, how many properties did you guys own in total?
350.
Okay, 350, so there's not, they really have maintained all 350, so Goodwill chose the best we could find, and because we believe that this community deserves the best, we want the best here. And here's who we get the best right next, Emery. So we got, Emery's gonna talk, come on up, Emery. So Emery's gonna talk about, he leads the group of service providers here called the Opportunity Center. And so Emery's gonna speak to what each one of our tenants, partners do, and how they do it, and how they deliver services, and how we try to meet the needs of people who walk in the door. All right, thank you.
I want to thank everyone for coming to Goodwill West. Again, it's my honor to serve as the director for this amazing campus. Don't want to take a lot of time, but we do want you to understand about the work that we do. That each and every day from 8 to 5, we look at and meet individuals who come in our door from different walks. Those who just got out of prison, those dealing with addiction recovery, some who haven't worked in a while, but need an opportunity and need a second chance. We are the agency that focuses on barrier reduction in order to reduce the barriers so that they can be successful in the lives where they go. One client that's already come in our door that I often lift up is a young man that was homeless for about 4 years. He was in his 20s. And when he came in our door, he didn't know exactly what to know, what to expect, or how to do. But in so doing, he was able to partner with some of our staff, some of our amazing staff, in order to know who to trust and how to do and how to walk the journey. So we took him through some of our classes to help him elevate his skill. We also worked with him about not focusing on his past, because those who might have been involved in criminal past or have records sometimes don't know how to get out of their past, get out of their own way, to talk about the good things that's going on in their life. But he was able to trust us. We walked with him on the journey, and when we got him ready to get a job, get an interview, he hadn't had a haircut in the same amount of time that he had been on the streets. He couldn't afford even a haircut from the Kentucky Barber School that's with us. And so because of the great support staff we have, because of the partners we have under one roof, we've got 10 amazing partners between Big Brothers and Big Sisters, Kentucky Barber School, Universal Local Dental, Volunteers of America, Park Community Credit Union, YMCA. And so these amazing partners are here, and we were able to get him connected through those partners. The long story for him is that we got him a haircut. We got him a shave. And when he came back into the building, everybody kept asking him, how can I help you? Because he said, I was just in here an hour ago, because nobody recognized who he was. That's the kind of change that we like to see. That's the kind of things that we like to connect with our staff and our clients coming in the door. And so again, in the last year, we served as a collective body of partners close to 40,000 units of service. That means for people who came to get their teeth done, to getting haircuts, to working with big brothers and big sisters. And so Goodwill was very intentional to come west of 9th Street, to be able to be a resource, to be able to open it and change lives. And for those numbers, every number of the 40,000 has a story. And so it may be just something as small as a senior who wants to get computer skills, all the way to someone who, again, served 20 years in jail and never knew how to work a cell phone. And so that's our mission. That's what we do. And that's what we're passionate about. Because when you, because when you give to Goodwill, you do a lot of good. So we got an amazing video we're going to show you. Again, don't pay attention to some of the folk in there. They look a little familiar. So.
Suspicious.
You know, it works when you, when the IT guy's not here. I'm just gonna get out of there.
They're pretty good.
I know, but, you know, it like works 2 seconds ago, there you go. Thanks, man.
Okay.
This is an award that we got, one of the funders, we attracted federal funds to this area, we attracted federal funds, and this is KHEC is based in Raleigh, so they brought funds here. So, KHEC is one of the people who gave us an award, so. And they produced this video.
Let's paint a picture first of what West Louisville has looked like for a long time, which is basically a place of disinvestment. So every city has a place like it where the city drew a line, and west of that line, that's where they basically decided we're just not going to allow much to happen there for generations. That's what West Louisville is in Louisville.
There are no hotels here, no drugstores here, there's one grocery store.
And so suddenly in the 60s, when we finally passed civil rights laws and things like that, we created an opportunity for things to happen here, but really there wasn't much investment here for another 60 years. That's the facts.
When politicians and individuals come into the community and make promises that maybe they have a real intention to keep, but just don't, puts anger in place.
We've always served many people from West Louisville, but they had to go to another part of town to get those services. And that creates access issues for people who may not have a car or a computer. So we felt like it was a real oversight for us not to have a physical presence here in West Louisville. And we also decided to make this our headquarters to bring more jobs to this part of town and hopefully be a catalyst for more business investment in the future.
So the challenges for this project, one, obviously the cost, because we had somewhere in the neighborhood of a $15 million gap to fill. My CEO had asked me, she said in her last Goodwill, she had used new markets, and she said, well, could you please just go off and understand how this works and try to get as much money as possible. And then but for the new markets tax credit program and for, you know, my conversations with Brian Oxford and KHEC, that really was what began this whole understanding of a new markets tax credit that could help us to fill this gap.
We're so appreciative of KHEC being the major partner in that. Almost $8 million came to this project.
I mean, we would not have been able to do that without the new markets tax credit, period.
West Louisville, we did it!
Prior to our purchasing this 21-acre plot of ground, it was a brownfield. We demolished 400,000 feet of defunct manufacturing. Now today we have 124,000 square foot resource center.
You walk in and it feels like a modern, beautiful, welcoming place. And then as you walk through, what you see is classes going on, a credit union in the facility, a place where people are helping to get off welfare and into a real job, people that are taking soft skills prep classes.
But when I walk through the doors every day, again, it's getting that feel of just almost being like home.
They're greeted and they get to know people who actually care whether they succeed or not. And they see some of the helpers who are there for them having the same background that they have. You see a spark light in them, and, you know, you can almost hear them thinking, he did it, maybe I can do it.
Well, with myself, I was looking for career direction with my career coach. She planted the seed in my head of, social services, being a career coach, helping people with them having the kind of backgrounds that I had, with me being able to relate to them, and I could see how their lives had improved, how they were able to, give a boost to themselves socially and economically.
Well, people will always talk about, I'm so thankful that Goodwill's here. Had Goodwill not been here, I would not be able to do the things that I'm doing.
Next door to this building is the first hospital that was built in West Louisville in the last 150 years. What's powerful about just pulling into the parking lot now is that there's a thriving hospital right in the heart of West Louisville, right next door.
My hope is that the future of West Louisville will be that there are fewer people who are living in poverty. Not because poor people have moved out of West Louisville, but because they've remained here and they're no longer poor. To me, that's the ultimate outcome. It is such an honor to win KHAC's Outstanding Impact Award, because it's just a recognition of all of the hours and really years of hard work on the part of so many people who had to play part in making this happen. We really do believe that this project is going to change West Louisville for the better.
All right. Thank you for
Hey, I know you're watching the live stream right now, but I want to take a moment to tell you to check out this new book right here over my shoulder. Believe me, it'll be worth it.
Well, this is the extent. Thank you for taking the time to listen about what Goodwill does. I think that's helpful. It paints the picture. We're going to be the service provider. So the rest of the agenda is really the folks that are the experts. Goodwill is not the experts in housing. We're the experts, with Emery just said, walking with people from here to where they want to be, to self-sufficiency. So these guys are the experts in housing, managing, building, getting credits. And I want to thank again David. He's one of the founders, and I want to thank him for coming down. And we'll have speak from David, and then a video, and then Tammy's going to speak. And we'll get questions.
Thanks, Mark.
Oh, I'm sorry. You don't want to see blue square pizza?
So I'm David Cooper. I'm with Wood Cooper Companies, and really, I know on the screen it says this is going to be a listening session, and I promise you we're going to talk for a little while, then we're going to listen. So we do want to give you all the information we can, and then we do plan to be listeners here tonight. So I want to tell you a little bit about our company. This is we're celebrating, we're not as old as Goodwill, but we are celebrating our 35th year in business. We have about 810 employees. We have a lot of people who have been working with us a long time, and our company mission is absolutely to create affordable housing. We don't really dabble in anything else or do anything else. We just work on affordable housing. We're a very mission-driven company. One of the things that differentiates us from other companies like us is that we own our properties very long term. We don't sell properties. So a lot of people get into the real estate business and they say, oh, we'll build this and 4 or 5 years later we'll be gone. We don't look at it that way. When we build something, we expect to own it in perpetuity. So the way that the tax credit that Mark described works is we have an investor who enters our property. It's usually a bank. A lot of large banks buy these tax credits, and that's what helps us keep the rents affordable. After 15 years, they don't get any benefit from continuing to own the property, so they want to leave the partnership that owns the property. And we've had about 110 of those properties that have reached that point in their life cycle, and in every instance, we've just bought the interest of that partner, and we've just continued to own that property and operate it as affordable housing. So when we build something, we always say, don't judge us by what it looks like the day that we open it. Judge us 10 years later and 20 years later. We build properties for the long run. We intend to be community members and participants for the long run. So with me tonight, I've got a lot of our team members. Yes, ma'am.
I just have one quick question
Yeah.
before you get one on. Can you define what you consider affordable housing?
Sure. So affordable housing goes across a very wide spectrum. And it's everything from properties where there's a Section 8 contract and no one pays rent to properties where rents are pretty expensive. So our property, and Tammy's going to talk to all the particulars of this in a few minutes, our property is maybe a couple of rungs up on the affordable housing spectrum. So really what we're building is workforce housing. Our housing is meant to be affordable to individuals who make between 30% and 80% of what the area median income is. So we expect people to pay rent every month, and that's how we pay the bills and pay the mortgage. But at the same time, we're going to provide what we consider to be really high quality housing at a reduced cost. And the reason we do that is, let's say we just, like Mark described earlier, went to build apartments. It might, to pay the cost of the apartments, we might have to charge $2,500 a month or something if we went out and financed those apartments in the regular way, where we basically borrowed about 80% of the money that it cost to build. In our case, we'll probably borrow somewhere around 25 or 30% of the money. The rest of the money comes from these tax credits. So what does that let us do? It lets us keep the rents lower. So maybe that $2,500 unit is $1,200 or $1,300, half or so, maybe of what it would otherwise cost. So that's where we fit on the spectrum of affordable housing. So I just want to say, the team I've got with me here tonight are all people who are very experienced with affordable housing, very professional at what they do. Tammy Stansbury lives here in Louisville, runs our development operation here. Erica Green runs our management company. Mendy is our regional manager. Allie, who you see in the blue stripes, works on the permitting process. Jack, with the blue sport coat, is part of the management company. Lance Pollock, who's here, and Joe DeCesar run our construction company. Dan Grimm, who's here with us, is an architect based here in Louisville who's designed the building. Dan's worked with us for about 15 years. And then somewhere in the room is our civil engineer, Marv. So we've got our whole team here, and if you've got questions as we go on about anything to do with anything from stormwater drainage to how is the building designed, we'll be happy to answer them. So our goal as a company is we want to build a building that's going to fit into the community. We like to build buildings that are a little bit smaller in scale. We're not going to build something that's really big. We're going to build something that we feel fits seamlessly into the community. We build a very high quality building. We're under the program where we build, the tax credit program. It's an expectation, but our company expectation is even further above that. Because we own these buildings for 30 years, our construction people will tell you if typically a building gets built and the contractor walks away, you've got maybe a year warranty. If we build a building and there's something wrong with it 4 years, 5 years, 10 years later, these gentlemen are still going to be told, go out and fix it. There is no warranty expiration. They've got to make good on the building no matter what, and it's really our expectation to keep buildings looking good and looking new for a very long time. We get a lot of questions about who's going to live in the building, and our experience is it's mostly people from the area. We get very few people who come from a distance to move in. We're selective about who moves into the building, but in a way where we do consider every person individually. The best case for us is the building gets leased up and maybe 10 or 15% of the people move out each year. But our goal is we love people who come and stay for 10, 15 years and really make it their homes. That's really a big win for us. You can contrast that with someone who builds like a market rate apartment building. They expect about 50% turnover each year. For us, that would be tragic. We don't expect that. We're building a different kind of housing that's really meant to knit into the community and really be the home for people. So very important to us. I'm not gonna say much more at this point. I'm gonna turn it over to Tammy to give you particular information about this development. I guess we have a video, then we'll do that. But I will say, first, we're always happy to answer questions. We've got about 30,000 people who live in our apartment units across 18 different states. And I can tell you, when Erica, who, you know, a senior person in the management company, hears from somebody, when I hear from somebody, today I had someone who was unhappy with the move-out process at a property in Baltimore, and 3 people jumped on it right away. We think we came to a happy solution with that person. That's how we do business. We take every person seriously. We care about the residents. It's really a mission for us to provide a high quality of housing that people want to stay in for the long term. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tammy.
Good evening, I'm Tammy Stansbury, Vice President of Development. I run the Kentucky office. David said I live here in Louisville. Actually, I live in Shelbyville now, but I was born in Louisville, so I know how to pronounce Louisville. So now I want to introduce you to Opportunity Village. That's why we're here. What is Opportunity Village? And you've heard how we've gone about coming to creating this, when we first spoke with Goodwill and going about the housing credits. Right here is a rendering of what Opportunity Village is going to look like. And afterwards, when we're done with the question and answers, we invite you all to come up here and take a look at it. Our site is actually located right past Goodwill's extra parking. Right here is Goodwill's extra parking, and this will be our site right here. And then we have unit layouts of what our units are going to look like. So Opportunity Village is a 76-unit, 4-story elevator development, and it's going to be for the general occupancy. Let's get a little notes here. We're offering 48 one-bedroom units and 28 two-bedroom units. The rents for these developments start out at $695, and that's for people at the 50% AMI or below. $860 for those at the 60% AMI or below. $1,095 for 80% AMI. So like David said, we're looking at workforce individuals who are out working, but they still can't afford those market rate rents, because market rate rents, I think here in Louisville, are around $2,000 now for a 2-bedroom development. For the 2-bedroom units, we're asking $825 for the 50% AMI, $1,015 for the 60% AMI, and $1,295 for the 80% AMI. So we have seen, the reason why we do income averaging is we have seen a lot of people that fall or that actually make more income than the 60% AMI, but they don't make enough to live in a market rate development. So that's why we do the income averaging of going up to the 8% AMI. Now the fun stuff about this development, our amenities. And Waukegan offers a lot of amenities, more than you'll see at any market rate developments. Well, we will have an on-site management and maintenance office. We'll have a community room with a kitchenette, because we have found that a lot of these communities, they like to sometimes have gatherings for dinner, for holidays or whatever, parties, birthday parties. We'll have a fitness room, a children's playroom, a library/computer room. So any individual that doesn't have their own computer or printer, we will have a room set up that they can utilize that. We'll also have a game room, and that will include a billiards table. We'll have a laundry room. Even though each unit will have washer and dryer hookups, we know that sometimes people don't have their own washer and dryer, so we do offer a laundry room for those individuals. We're doing something different this time, and it's doing a co-office working space. Since COVID, we've seen that a lot of people are now working from home, and sometimes they still feel isolated, so we're going to offer an office space within the development where we'll have it set up where individuals who work from home can go in that office space and kind of have like their own little office if they want. We'll have individual tenant storage. This is separate from being inside their unit. We'll have trash chutes. We'll have a playground on site, an outdoor terrace, grills and a picnic area. We'll have a dog park, and we'll also have security and cameras. The unit features. We provide the stove, range, refrigerator, dishwasher, and microwave. We'll also have luxury LVT flooring, ceiling fans in the bedrooms, garbage disposals, lead lighting, high efficiency hot water heaters and furnace, and energy efficient windows. So I just want to add that when you're dealing with housing credits with the state housing agency, we have to build to higher standards than market rate developments. We have to make sure we incorporate certain green techniques and energy efficiency. When we do have these energy efficiency appliances in the windows, it reduces the tenant's utility. So some of the design features, you'll see here, we will have a second floor terrace. We'll have lobby spaces on each floor, night lighting in the hallways. The parking lot will be lit, and as I mentioned, security cameras. So I think we're gonna be very proud. I mean, I know we're gonna be proud of this development. We got another development almost like this that's under construction at 3rd Street in Outer Loop now here in Louisville. So, you know, we're excited to finally be here in Louisville. We've been all over the state of Kentucky, in Indiana, and as David mentioned, we're in 18 states. So I think this will be a great opportunity for the area, and especially for those that have been working with the Goodwill Center and have gone through all their trainings and their mentorship. I think one of the things that I found very unique about what Goodwill offers is that they help these individuals set up a checking account, help them get a job, and they don't put these people out until they have saved enough money that can be on their own. So there is no rent subsidy that's going to be at this development. So every individual will have to have some type of income coming in, whether it's their job, Social Security or whatever, but Social Security really isn't that high anymore. So more likely they'll all be working. But that's one of the things that we found unique about Goodwill and what they do is they set these individuals up. And some of them that have gone through this Opportunity Center will more than likely rent here as well, which is a good thing because it gives them an avenue. Once they go through the program and they've done the transitional housing, now they have permanent housing available for them. So we will have a Q&A session afterwards. If you have any questions, at this time, I'm going to let David come back up and talk a little bit about our construction highlights.
So I've probably already talked mainly about what we're doing with construction. We do use much higher quality building materials than we're even required to use because it's important to us to have a building that's going to last a long time. Lance and Joe, who are here, could go through with you all the details of everything from blower door tests to what type of windows we buy to what type of exterior materials we use. But our goal is really to build a very durable, high quality building. We get, we use better paint than we're required to use. We will put a different type of surface for the playground than is typical. It's just, we pay attention as best we can to all the details because we've lived with them for 35 years. We try to learn from what we do. When we build something, we actually, Dan, the architect, would know that we have something we call our franchise specs, and we're always adding to it. In book form, it's about that thick. And it's just all the little things that we've learned through the years about how to build something that's durable, that'll last, that we'll be happy with down the road. So I don't want to go too far into construction, but later on, if there are questions about anything we build or how we do it, we're happy to talk about it. Yeah, so I'm going to introduce Erica Green, and Erica is a person who's been with us about 12 years. Erica runs the management company, and Erica started off as a property manager. She's kind of seen it all through the years, and so she knows really fully how everything works.
Thank you. Not only was I a property manager, but my very first housing was a Woda Cooper property. As a single mom, I started out, got my very first housing, and now I actually oversee that property as the regional vice president now. So it actually helped me. I was able to go to college while I lived there, got affordable rents, and was able to use that as a stepping stone. So that is kind of my background, and I've kind of moved up. Started as a community manager, and just moved my way up through the company. So what we're going to talk about today is the application process. Probably 6 months before the building is complete, we will start an interest list and allow individuals to start putting their name on the list. Probably 120 days out from being complete, we will start taking applications, real applications, along with the fees to get on our wait list to start processing applications for move-in. We have a very robust process that goes along with that. We look very hard at everyone's credit and criminal to make sure that we're making great decisions and that we're protecting all of the individuals in the community that live with us. So that's kind of how our process works. We look at your background, we look at your income, we look at your credit, we go, pretty deep dive. We look at landlord history, employment history, to make sure we're making the right decisions for our communities. Staffing, we'll have a full-time service tech and a full-time manager that will be on site all the time to make sure that everything is being ran right. We're holding tenants accountable when maybe they're not following the rules sometimes, so that we make sure that nothing gets out of control. We'll have security, as Tammy mentioned earlier, so we'll have cameras throughout the community. We get really engaged with local law enforcement to make sure that we're, hearing the needs of the community, the tenants, making sure that nothing gets out of control. That's our biggest thing, is maintaining security of our communities. And then inspections. Another thing on our list is inspections. Something we do differently than a lot of affordable housing communities is that we do monthly inspections. And what we found, there was a point in time where we did quarterly, and we found that was a real issue. Not only does that allow for maybe some hoarding to go on, but safety concerns can go on if you don't get in those units often. So we do those every month. We have a very long, detailed inspection list just to make sure that everything is in working order, that everything is meeting code, that the smoke alarms are intact, so that there's no issues that will create other issues for other individuals in the building. We also have third-party inspections with our lenders, investors, and we also pay a third-party company to come in and do a very detailed inspection to ensure the integrity of the building. I think, what else is on my list? Did I get it all? So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about.
If I could, I'll just.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna add a little bit to what Erica said. So as far as I know, we're the only company in our line of business where I actually pay a third party to come in and critique how we've managed the property every year. Secondly, when Erica talked about our credit review process, we do treat every person individually. So, and again, as far as I know, we're the only company in our world that does this. So we have a credit committee that meets every single day, and we go through automatic credit screenings for our residents, and there are people who simply pass that screening, but we have plenty of people who don't. But we don't turn any resident down until until their file has been put in front of a committee. And that committee is not Erica, it's not anybody in the management company, it's other people who are very neutral people. And we look at each resident's file and we say to ourselves, okay, maybe there's a bad credit history here, but does it tie to something like medical bills, an auto accident, a domestic situation? And if it does, we'll overlook that. I mean, we don't want people who are going to move into the building who are not going to pay the bills, but if they've had some event in their lives that has caused them to fall behind on bills, we're all about giving people a second chance. So trust me, it takes a lot of discipline as a company. Every single working day of the year, this committee meets, and every single day we'll look at maybe 30, 35 different residents and carefully consider each case. In many cases, we're going to reach back out to that resident maybe for an explanation, for a little more background, and create an interactive process. And it's very important to us to be able to kind of, we want to rent units, but we want to rent units to people who are going to move in and be good residents. We all want to balance that with the fact that we also, want to give people a chance to be successful. So again, maybe something something that differentiates us from others. We do the same thing on criminal background checks. That committee doesn't fortunately have to meet every day, but if someone has a criminal record, we're gonna look at that, and we're gonna say to ourselves, have they been through a program like Goodwill's program? What kind of information do we have from social workers and the like that help us? And really, what we're looking for is we don't want people who are gonna pose a threat to the community at large or the people living in the building. But other than that, again, we're looking to give people a chance. So that's maybe just something that's a little bit different about us that I did want to elaborate on a little bit.
My password with 25 people looking at me. It's like 16 digits.
From a mission standpoint, our company is committed to providing high-quality, affordable housing both to the communities that we serve as well as the residents who live in our communities.
Affordable housing comes in many different forms, and we do anything from a townhouse project to a substantial rehabilitation of an existing apartment complex, to adaptive reuse of an old building, to large buildings with elevators. We cover the whole gamut.
We're kind of breaking the mold and showing people that affordable housing, buildings are nice, we have good amenities, and we have a really nice community. I think that sets us apart from even some of the market rate apartments in the area.
The impact that any Water Cooper property has brought to the city is, I believe that we set the bar pretty high. We hear so many thank yous. It's amazing to be a part of it.
They have 21 apartments allotted for veterans in this building. I marvel over that alone. They were really thinking of the veterans. I'm just grateful.
Every study that's ever done says that where people live helps to really define what their life is like. And we can provide a small service by providing that high quality housing and creating a community within that housing.
I got an opportunity from Water Cooper as one of their residents and business tenants to try to articulate visually what their company has been able to do over the last 30 years. Being able to be in a live workspace that is affordable, it allows me to pursue my dreams but still be able to take care of myself. So I feel very blessed to be able to be here.
When my son comes to pick me up, I feel proud that he's pulling up into a nice driveway, a really beautiful building that's clean and neat and well kept. It's a source of pride for me.
Why I really enjoy working for Water Cooper Companies is because the emphasis is the end users. The residents are going to live here for decades to come. We tailor the project to plan for their comfort and meet their energy needs for well into the future.
One of our very early communities, my grandmother was a resident. It's really helped me understand what a resident is thinking about, the expectation of a resident, and I always give it the grandma test. Just as I wanted to provide her the best experience I could, I want to continue to do that for all of our residents.
Okay, so now comes to the question and answering session. So if anybody has any questions
About anything we have shown you tonight or talked about, feel free to ask and we'll try to answer them to the best of our ability. Yes, sir.
Actually, not so much question, but a statement. First of all, let me define myself so that you get an inclination of the statement. I've lived in Louisville for over 30 years. I've been involved in real estate for, I can't believe it, almost 30 years in real estate. The reason I came tonight was because I own a piece of property just across the railroad tracks, and so I got a letter and I thought, well, this will be fun. I've been involved in single families, multi-families, strip malls, warehouses, all kinds of nonsense. I've owned, operated, rented, done everything you guys are doing, and I gotta tell you, it takes a lot to impress me. What Goodwill is doing and what your company is doing is amazing. I am very impressed. It's everything I wish I could do, but I can't. I don't have the finances, resources, etc. that you guys do. So, excellent job. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad this is happening in West Louisville. West Louisville is a great place. I've been involved in it, as I say, for many years here. And it's just excellent to see that things are developing and the people aren't being displaced, they're remaining here in the communities and improving. So, that's my pitch. I've got a bunch of questions, but I'll let somebody else get to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Have you completed a displacement assessment to see how property values might increase for legacy residents? Can I answer that one?
We have not. We're not, of course, our property will not be displacing anyone. We have seen neighborhoods where we've built where property values have increased, significantly. And I don't think these units alone will cause a displacement issue, but I do think it's something, all I can tell you is it's something that we'll be wary of and we'll watch as time goes on. And I can give you some examples in Atlanta where we built where property values have gone up significantly. And it's a balancing act, right? I mean, we're taking an empty property and creating something there and giving a stable living environment for affordable living, but it can increase property values in the neighborhood. I don't disagree with that. We haven't done the analysis.
Lives right across the street here, and with the addition of the hospital and this center, their property values went up and they can no longer afford those property taxes. So that is displacing legacy residents. Then my second question is about the rental numbers that you gave. Was that $695 if you're at 30%? Was that for a one bedroom?
695, 50% or below.
At 50% or below. So that could include someone at 30% AMI. And for Louisville, that is about $20,250. So that would be 41% of that person's income.
Well, so at 50%, it'll be 30% of income. I misspoke when I said 30%, it's 50%.
Yes, so I went
yeah.
on and did the calculations. Don't mind my math, I'm not very good at it, I am a writer. At 50%, the person would be paying 30%. At 80%, they would be paying 24%. So it seems that the more affluent you are, the less your rent is. Shouldn't that be flipped?
Well, I mean, that's an argument for sure. I will tell you what we try to do is we try to cap the rents at somewhere around 65% affordability. We find that families, even at that 80% level, need that more affordable rent. So maybe they don't have some of the same benefits that some of the other people at lower incomes have. And we try to cap the rents at that 65% level. Yes,
So
ma'am.
my question is, we've talked about AMI for the Louisville area, and I think we're all aware of the room that in the West Louisville area, that's significantly low. So I just want to be absolutely clear, you're doing the AMI rate for Metro Louisville, not West Louisville.
That's correct.
Why can't we do it for West Louisville, so that West Louisvilles are able to rent and to be here?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. The answer is probably not very satisfactory, but the answer is it's just not the way that the data is collected and published. It's collected and published for all of Louisville, which is a blend of, all areas of Louisville. I think Erica and her team will say, our experience is almost everyone who will move into this building live right in the area. That's where people come from. They don't come from far away. They will be people from West Louisville. And if you think about it, at a 50% unit, the income, you probably can afford that unit at somewhere around $12 to $14 an hour as a wage.
Before tax or after?
Before tax.
Oh,
So-
so you are getting people's taxes waived? I wanna move in.
Yeah, so I will tell you that, these are units for people who are working, but they're not for people at the highest end of the wage scale. I would think our residents are gonna make, anywhere from, call it $12 an hour up to maybe $25 an hour. So, that's the market that this building is geared toward.
So we'll look into giving you all access to the demographic information that does include the wages, education level, and family size of West Louisville. I'm concerned that you said that you could not find it for West Louisville specifically, you only have Louisville as aggregated.
Yeah.
There are numbers out there.
Okay.
Credible numbers, not just
Okay.
something that I've.
Yeah, well, that's because we have to go by what the lower income housing tax credit AMI is for the credits, and that's how it's done by the location, like rural as a whole. So that's the information that we go by for the housing credits.
Okay, so you can't use like that, or anything like that,
I mean, look, we're always gonna consider the local, the local affordability. We've got plenty of units that we rent that are more affordable than what's the maximum we're allowed to rent, based on the market that we're located in.
I was just letting you know why we use that is because of the housing credit program.
I've got a couple other questions, but I don't want to hog your time.
That's all right.
Okay, so you were talking about with the inspections, the third party's coming in to inspect what you all have done. And of course, you're the ones paying for the third parties, not the banks or the city or somebody else. So you're paying them to inspect.
We are.
Okay. They're not inspecting the tenants, you all, property management, will be inspecting.
When you say inspecting the tenants, they're inspecting.
The monthly.
No, they're not doing it monthly, but annually they're coming in, they're looking at units, they're looking at common spaces, they're looking at accessibility standards, they're looking at the windows, the roof, the parking lot, the striping in the parking lot. It's an extensive list. And we give our properties a grade. Sometimes the grades aren't good, and then we've got an action list that we put in place to bring that score up to where it's acceptable to us. So it's not, we're not doing it to make ourselves feel good, we're doing it to be critical of ourselves.
Okay, but that's the third party. So on the monthly inspections that you're doing, on the tenants, I know you said there was an extensive list as well. I'm just looking to see how, invasive these inspections are. It's been a long time since
Yeah.
I lived in an apartment.
Yeah,
But
so-
even when I lived in an apartment on campus, we didn't have monthly inspections.
Yeah, they're not super invasive. Look, I mean, I think Erica and others would tell you there are a lot of units that someone walks in and they can tell the unit's really well maintained and cared for, and that's a quick inspection. But they are gonna check things like a furnace filter and light bulbs and, drips in the bathroom, all that kind of stuff. But it's gonna be quick. There are some where there might be a problem that's developing, and then that's gonna be a much longer discussion, and there's gonna be follow-up, and these inspections take place over a day or so, so they're not spending an hour in each unit. That wouldn't be at all possible. So they're relatively quick, but they're just meant to check the basics in the unit, make sure everything's functioning the way that it should, there aren't problems, and then maybe catch something if it's turning into a problem. Does that seem right, Erica? Yeah.
And so you mentioned like filters and light bulbs, so you all replace all those types of things that tenants.
We do.
I'm still kind of, obviously.
No, you go ahead.
I'm still kind of mulling over some of the things that were shared, but quick question, it may be for the folks from Goodwill. This is meant to be a collaboration of sorts, right? Because
Correct.
we're working with people who are
Yes.
trying to get things together. So I'm just curious what the average salary is for those that are coming through the Goodwill career centers in terms of their ability to be able to afford. And I think it's nice and great because to me, the inflation of Section 8 vouchers versus what a person who's not receiving Section 8, like that middle ground, it leaves a lot of people out.
It does.
And so I think that the rates that you propose, I do think that looking at maybe some different numbers would be sweeter. But I'm just curious to know what that salary range, because there was a time I was looking for employment, and they were like, you don't need to be here because of your, your degree or whatever. And so if they're working with people of, say, a high school diploma, or maybe just some college, what are they coming out of Goodwill?
For the most part, our goal is $15 an hour.
Okay.
For our residents, for our clients that participate in our programs. Sometimes they do start in Goodwill jobs.
Yeah.
And so from there, they can escalate forward. So we have internal employment and we have external jobs that we also talk about.
And the internal employment, what's that way you started with?
That starts about $12.
So they wouldn't be able to go right into
Well,
housing.
I do think single member households would probably fall into that. I think they would be able to. Yeah, yeah, be right in that range.
The 50 is there, so it's 30,000 a year.
Yeah.
Mhm.
24,000.
Oh, sorry.
Our average is 50. People that graduate from Emory's.
No, we're talking about the ones that go in, not the average living wage. So if they start inside, it's like 12.
If they come to work and training programs and complete everything, even with Goodwill starting as a starting,
Yeah.
the goal is 15.
The goal is, how long does it take you to get there from 12 to 15? So like 6 months, like after you gain a certification or?
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with the availability of position, right? So in your retail, you've got those who receive product handlers versus those who can close and opportunities to go work.
Okay, great. So I have a question, and this may be one, well, for both of you all. So, will Goodwill clients that meet all of the requirements, will they receive first consideration?
So the answer is, under our tax credit program, we're not to give preferences, but we do expect a lot of referrals. And because we're on the campus here, that's really gonna be the people who are marketed to. They're gonna be, they're gonna be the people who are here at Goodwill.
And so after.
Can I just add to what he said, and then we'll get your next question? We did have this partnership, and we've told you what our interest is in it. We had a lot of input into the tenant selection criteria, and it was skewed in the direction of meeting the need that we're most interested in meeting. And part of our contribution is that people living in that housing would be able to come over here for services that they need to move ahead. And then, of course, also Norton Healthcare being on the campus, those services would be very accessible to them as well.
I firmly believe we're gonna find we don't have enough units here to meet the need of even just the people working at the hospital, people from Goodwill. I really feel that way.
Yeah, and that was kind of my next two questions. The building is very pretty. It reminds me of the partnerships that are at universities. Doesn't really to me fit the neighborhood. It kind of, you had some pictures in there of houses that were more like townhouses and houses that were kind of connected. So I don't know what went into the thought of, we're gonna go with the project prison style housing versus home, community model type of housing. I don't know if you all, which is cost.
Yeah, we have only 3 acres of land, so you can only put so much on 3 acres, so you have to go out. Yes.
And this is probably get more into your business. I know when you all, we're projecting it or trying to have it next door, at the 2900 site, it was gonna be close to 21.5 million or something. And this is kind of a Goodwill thing as well, is, was there ever a plan or talk about, let's look at a mile or 2 mile radius of Goodwill and let's rehab the existing properties that are there so that you get all the benefits. I know your video said there was 1 grocery in Russell, there was actually 4. But, people can walk back and forth to Goodwill, they don't have transportation, which is healthy. They would have a choice of groceries instead of maybe just Kroger's. the Economic Campus so much. It would help the overall value and the overall look of West Louisville versus one building that really doesn't fit. And I know for you all are out of town, so you know, you can only do what you were asked to kind of partner and do. But why was that, or was that part of the discussion?
So
It was just
I can answer
decided?
that. So
Yeah.
Kentucky Housing Corporation has an application around every year to apply for the low-income housing tax credits. It's a very competitive process. One of their scoring criteria is donated land. In order for us to get the development here in Louisville, we had to find donated land. Goodwill already had that donated land. So that's an issue with KHC, because that's how they're driving us to go. In order for us to get funded, that's how we had to choose this site.
But also I think it's true that what you're describing would be a great undertaking, but it would come from different funding sources. The funding sources that were available to build these apartment units aren't available to do what you're describing in the neighborhood. Doesn't mean that's not a great idea. It's just, this is what we could do with these funding sources. I'll also tell you, Dan Grimm, who's here, who's the architect for this building, who lives here in Louisville, I promise you, he studied the neighborhood, and he would tell you he believes the building fits. He could probably come up and tell you why if you want to hear, but
that may be a discussion that you can.
yeah, but Dan takes really careful thought. We've worked with him for about 15 years of how and why he designed something.
And my last question is more of a statement.
Where's Dan?
Dan's right there. Yeah.
My last question is, you know, as you look at this community and then as you look in this room at the people that are more community members, you all don't look like the community. And your rental team does not look like the community. And so for us, we know that in this day and age, DEI and things like that, diversity culture is kind of a bad word, but we are in America, and part of America is being a melting pot. What are you all doing internally to make sure your staff that's interacting, that's doing those inspections, where there's gonna be some possible, not liking for somebody to come into my personal space, especially someone that doesn't look like me, doesn't understand what they're looking at, doesn't understand, you know, what's happening there?
Can I?
Yeah, please.
I think it's important to note that, you know, we won't necessarily be the on-site staff. We will be hiring, and we try to do that locally and try to put that back into the community. So we will be putting out the job postings as we get closer to lease up and interviewing, and we do try to find local residents that have the experience and that work in the communities and know the program and the housing agency, because we are a low-income housing tax credit property. We do accept housing assistance as long as those Section 8 vouchers cover the rent amount. So we will be looking for on-site teams that are from the community.
So is that socioeconomic diversity, or are we talking that vouchers are equated with a certain person?
No, I was just saying that individuals that work with different agencies in the community is also valuable to a community. Yeah. Sorry.
I heard Sean's question a little differently. So once we get to building a thing and people moving into a thing, then that's where the diversity comes in. I felt like Sean was asking, where was the diversity in this process? In the video, you said that community buy-in was important. Who consulted on this that is actually from the West End? Yeah.
I was talking about subcontractors.
Yeah, I think what we said in the video is that being a member of the community and having community buy-in once we've built the building is important. But look, we don't want to, we're here, we haven't started construction. I mean, we're here to talk tonight, so I guess you're here from West Louisville to help us understand. Okay, so, all right, so we're here tonight to talk about it. We haven't started construction, you know, we haven't got building permits yet. We're in the process of getting there. So that's why we're here to listen tonight.
I have a question in a different lane, but concern I thought, there are a lot of transition homes that have been placed in the West End. particularly seeing it as, I guess, fertile ground for cheap housing, that folks can make a lot of money off Medicaid offerings. A lot of people I would say, shifting in from out of state that have drug issues and things, and that's fine, they need help. I wonder with your with people needing to be local, because right now we're pulling from Kentucky Medicaid, right? And so it's like, how does this work? And I know it's national money, but I say that to say, with your housing offerings as well as your employment offerings, is there gonna be a way to decipher, and I'm not saying discriminating against those who are coming in from out of state, but the issue is there's an influx for a reason that's really not ideal, that whole pipeline that's happening with the income. So I'm saying with your bill and your hiring potential, how would you weigh longer term residents in your, hiring process and residential applications?
Yeah, I don't want to speak to the hiring process, but I know you've got a lengthy program that people work through, and it's a couple-year program. We do not work in the Medicaid or transitional housing world, so I can't really speak to that at all.
This is the part about
Yeah.
here. And
So-
there's nothing wrong with that, but if I've lived here for 2 months and I came in to stay in this group home,
So look,
how do you weigh?
our goal as a company is to lease units to people who want to stay here and be here for a long time. We expect somewhere like 10 to 15% of the units to turn over each year. We expect people to stay in those units, want to live there, and pay their rent. So when we're evaluating a resident, we're saying, what's the employment history? What's the, what's the longevity, in the community? How have they performed through their program at Goodwill? What do we think is the likelihood that that person's going to come in and be a long-standing resident? So I think what you're describing as in terms of transitional housing is that's not a market that we do serve or that we're looking to serve. We're really looking to, take people who've graduated through a program at Goodwill, who've shown that they've moved up through the workforce, that they want to, be here and be part of this community.
I think also this is 76 units. We've all heard a huge number of the lack of affordable housing here in the Louisville area. It seems unlikely that this apartment complex is gonna make enough of a difference to attract people to come to Louisville from other locations, because we still have a huge shortage of affordable housing at all levels.
I mean, in terms of the stair stepping out, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So after they leave those spaces,
You're talking about once they go through the transitional
Yes.
housing, and then they look for permanent housing?
Yes.
Alright, so this is a great segue. I was at Kentucky Housing Corporation for 25 years. I was over what was called the Recovery Kentucky Program. And that was individuals who had some type of addiction. They went to the recovery facility, they were there for 3 months to a year. After that facility was born, and the Healing Place is one of those that came through Kentucky Housing for credits. There was supposed to be permanent housing built for those individuals once they graduated the program. They were just starting with the jobs and stuff. They didn't have any rental assistance, but there was no place for them to go to live for permanent housing. This development here is gonna be a great segue into what Recover Kentucky should have been at the time that they finished all the transitional housing developments. There was 12 built across the state. There was not one permanent housing that was built for those. So that's the issue we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of people that had addiction issues, have gone through programs, have been in transitional housing. Now what do? So that's kind of why we partnered up with Goodwill, because they offer those services. They take these individuals through these programs. They bring them in with checking books. They show them how to balance their checkbooks. They get them jobs. They show them how to maintain that money, so that when they move over to Opportunity Village, we're hoping that the majority of us not even gonna need any type of rental assistance at all, that they've now made that segue into being on their own to hopefully eventually becoming homeowners at some point. So was that the question you was?
Yeah, I appreciate you breaking it down. I think you're just saying you're not trying to get in that lane.
Not in the transitional housing, right, that's correct, that is not.
Thanks. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
appreciate your answer, but that was what I was asking.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
I don't have any other questions, I got a comment.
Okay.
This may be more for Goodwill. So, you know, there is a homeless camp over there. I can't tell if the way your L, the long end of your L is starting at the 2880 Garland, and it's going all the way up to the 2900 block, all the way
So
to
we're in the
Long
middle,
Trucks.
we're not up near Garland. We're in
So
the
you're
middle.
right in the middle, so the homeless camp, again, I'm not good with maps, unless I got my map quest. I'm not sure how long it is, if it goes to where driveway for the old factory used to be, which is right around maybe 29 something.
Over
So anyway,
here.
there's a homeless camp there.
Right here.
I can't see your face
I'm
more.
sorry. I know, so this is the hospital, which is kind of like, here's Garland, here's Brandeis Springer.
Okay, so the homeless camp is past Brandeis. It's more like where the back of Brandeis parking lot is and the flooring company. It's like right in there between the fence and where the walking track used to be.
Here's Brandeis.
Okay,
Here's
so
the
that's,
playground.
okay, so it's probably, this is the flooring company, so it's probably right there where that little grassy area is.
Next to the school.
No, across the street, it's
Oh.
on our side, yeah, it's right in there. And that picture looks like it was probably taken.
That's,
Yeah,
COVID, that's when all they have like cars. moving
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff.
Reading doesn't have anything back there. So it's between Reading truck and the other part. But anyway, there's a homeless camp there.
Good.
Are we getting some resources through Goodwill, this is not for you all, this is Goodwill, to help them as you all are moving them out? Because what I would like to see is the police to come with a big garbage truck where they've done downtown, and they just throw everybody's stuff in there. Because that homeless camp has been there for a while.
So, you know, we have the Another Way homeless outreach program. And Metro has a good deal of input into where we go, but we do have to work with the fans. But we do have flexibility to, you know, if somebody points out an area where people may need some help, maybe want to get on the van, we can do that. I didn't know that there was a homeless camp there.
Yeah,
Right
it's on your
here,
property, I think.
at this location, the van comes, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of those people are walking up here and getting on the van, but we can certainly do a turn back there and invite them to get on the van. And our
Yeah.
purpose of getting them on the van is not to just provide them work for a day and a gift card, but to get to know them and, you know, what do they need to change their situation? And we've seen a lot of people get jobs and get stable housing and go for drug treatment.
Yeah, because getting on the van is not gonna help them with all their stuff right now.
No.
And they didn't know to be here, they need to know that this is what we're planning. Because, you know, your first step when you do this is to start clearing it.
Yeah.
There's
Check
no,
that out.
you know, we
Well,
guys.
We're actually gonna be a little north of that. so-
Yeah, our development is right, like where
We'll check
Norton's,
that out.
the Norton's is, yeah,
We'll
we're
still
way
have
up
it.
there, yeah.
So this part, this 3 acres is being touched now. This 3 acres.
So there won't be any driving like way, so everybody has to come in from the Broadway and the 28th Street to get to the complex.
Yes.
So are you
But
gonna
we
be
won't
out that
reach
back
out.
area?
Yeah, creating an outreach team is not a possibility for what we do. So that's.
Yeah, I'm just saying, just make sure, so on the back side, you're saying that you all really won't do anything right now? Will it maybe be cleaned up or beautified or?
Back here,
Yeah, you said you're not gonna touch anything on the garden.
well, we don't own it, that Goodwill owns it,
No, that's what I was.
yeah.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about that yet.
Because we just wanna make sure that it looks nice, and, you know, we used to do the walking track there and some stuff got worked around. So we just wanna make sure, if they're only coming in on two sides, but you've got the side there that's facing the school and the houses, that's where we always thought that the apartment should have been, so that they're more, incorporated into the community and the residential side more so than the commercial busy side.
Well, I think, you can correct me, one of the reasons why we didn't choose that is there's hope that maybe later on Norton Hospital expands to more medical offices and stuff.
Hopefully they expand up, so we don't have a clinic, we have an actual hospital.
Yeah, so that, I think that's why we stay more in the middle there, so that if that opportunity ever arises, then there's that space.
that they could.
One of the biggest pieces of feedback we got before we built this building, because we took about 6 months to get input from the community, before our plans were complete here, and one of the biggest pieces of feedback we got was how important people felt it was, for whatever you put up on this site, keep it up, don't let it get run down, and keep it safe, make it a safe place, and we've taken that very seriously. We have all kinds of people coming here, and we have some interesting incidents sometimes, but we try to treat everybody with respect, and part of what that means is allowing everybody to feel safe.
I'm not
So
sure if they can, being on the Garland side, would be
continue
that
that.
same. I'm not sure what it is.
You mean the homeless camp?
No, the homeless camp, they're fine, they're about it. No, I'm saying, you said was to keep up the property, which you all do a great job, our building is an eyesore right now. But, the safety piece, I'm not sure, do you think beautifying the Garland side would be a safety issue, or?
Well, I don't think we're going to want to have a homeless camp right next to the apartment complex, but I'm not sure that's what we're gonna see. We'll have to look at specifically where that is, what you're telling us about.
Oh, I wasn't sure why you were bringing up the safety issue. I mean, I came to all of those meetings, and I know, for example, the building I'm in, we never suggested that it be torn down. So I'm not sure all of the communities in we really knew the plans of what housing is gonna be built here. Because if we was, we could have talked to Reed and Truck, they were looking for another location. We could have gotten them loose, we could have had a whole lot of other locations before they reinvested and decided to stay here. But anyway, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate this meeting, which should have, we think, if we had had this previously, maybe some of the community concern could have been prevented. Or we would have heard any form of.
We were in a very different position than we were when we built this building. Because when we built this building, we had a lot of control over when we built and the whole process. And because of the fact that we didn't know if there was going to be an apartment complex here until we knew if we were going to be selected, Wood Cooper and Goodwill for those housing tax credits. Because if we didn't, there wasn't going to be an apartment complex here. And once we had it, a lot of things we have to go by all of the regulations that they have for us. So we certainly did not want to talk to people who live in this area about something that was never gonna happen, because that's been done quite a bit before. So we just didn't have as much control over that process because of how the whole process with the tax credits works as we did when we did this facility.
And see, that's, again, not what we want to do, but I think that's something in miscommunication, because we were told the apartment complex, was in the plans from the beginning, and that the original plan was to look at the Ian Center to see if there was a way to retrofit it.
And that's
well
just,
before you were built.
that's just been in the last few months, not originally when we were making plans for this campus. We certainly wanted extra land so that we could, for future growth and development, but we never said housing specifically, and we didn't know what those uses might be.
Earlier you mentioned that you had to, stipulation was it had to be on donated land. And I guess I don't remember right now, fuzzy right this minute, but I know a lot of property in the city, for example, the old Urban Government Center was gonna be given to it or sold to developers for $1. And so in that area, they were asking for a community benefits agreement. Is that something that could be a part of this, project, or is that something that Goodwill has insisted upon? In a broader context, I know some of the amenities might need to just be for residents only, but,
So with the housing credit program, you can't have what's called a community space, because with the housing credit program, you gotta make sure that anybody who comes into that building and uses those services are below that income level. So it'd be hard to try to know who's coming in using those services. So for safety of the residents and for the housing credit program, all those amenities are just tied to that development for those residents.
Well, so with the community benefits agreement, there may be something like, I think you mentioned like a computer room, which is defined on that, and there are several libraries, well, not several, but 2 libraries nearby. And so that might not be the service, but hypothetically, if you were building something that was front facing, like say near the school, if that playground, I don't know, I can't think of something, I could think of something, give me about 5 more minutes to put something.
Do you talk about building and having community space on the first floor?
Some way of where, I mean, obviously, you need to make money, you need to pay for the building, you need to pay, you need to make your money that you intend to make. But then that there's a community benefits agreement in terms of the community has some benefit from this land that was donated from a taxpayer base. And so a lot of times that doesn't happen because a lot of times I think it's not an existent fund, but also it doesn't happen because mostly it's that. I mean, so I think we don't ask and we don't get. So I think that it would be something that would help with the populations we're talking about. Just something I think could be maybe work into this.
So one, Goodwill owns the property, so we wasn't getting it from the city. They already own the property. And secondly, because of the housing credit program, like I said, we can't offer services to individuals that don't meet that income level. And it would be hard to negate who's coming in using those services, not knowing what their income levels are.
So hypothetically, not that you have to offer the service, let's say that 1% of all proceeds coming from this goes to fund a ice cream shop that would train and educate teens in the summer. It's on the corner of one of these places. Let's say it's like green, California-inspired, healthy ice cream, okay? And so that, I was just saying, that meets the campus, it matches something that might be useful and helpful to the community. It's also training young people in business as well as in food safety and providing people with something to do in the summer. To me, that 1%, I don't know, that might not be on the target. So let's say 0.25% of proceeds.
So
that's not too much.
So what you're describing sometimes is part of our developments. It was not part of this development.
Okay.
But, there are instances I can think of where we've done some of the things you're describing. But I will tell you, our senior construction people are here. One of the things they'll do when you talk about job training is they will open up some job opportunities for people here in the area, and we hope to connect people with construction trade type of jobs. We have a lot of instances where people have started off, as an apprentice running a bulldozer or something, and have, gotten good jobs with excavation companies or the like. So that's, we don't know ice cream shops, but we do know construction. So that is something that.
Well, construction's only for so long. You said that you plan to be a long-term agent in this, and so that would complement that long-term intention as well as long-term needs.
Yeah. So we do, we will hire building community staff locally. We'll definitely work closely with the Goodwill Center to make sure that we're providing housing opportunities and also support to the residents. And then during construction, we will open up some job hiring. So, that's kind of what we can do.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Spell down, no.
Yeah. Well, again, But look, if someone came, I don't know about an ice cream shop, but if someone came to us and said, look, I've got this. Yeah, sure, but if someone came to us and said, I've got this program I'd like you guys to support, plenty of times we've done that. I mean, look, so we're not against anything, but standing here tonight, I can't think of anything either other than the things I've described to you.
So I think that would be more of the Goodwill side, because Goodwill got millions of taxpayer money as part of it. So the developer, I don't think would be responsible. They got the extra land and they donated an extra, 20 feet, 20 by 20.
Okay.
And then maybe they could build something on it. But I think that's more Goodwill side, not their side.
Property for the 30, 60, 90 years that they intend to be here, so they are getting some type of cash flow too from the community.
So let me just address a couple of things, because I'm not sure in each, the things that you're saying, if I'm understanding you correctly, but this housing complex that's coming here, apartment complex, Goodwill is not making any money from that. We donated our land and we are gonna be, making services delivered out of this building available to residents as they want them. We're not making any money on
We
it.
understand that, the developers, they're making the
Yes.
money. No, what we were saying was the original money, you
Yeah,
received
so
money
into
from
this
Metro Council
facility, yes,
administration.
we got
Yeah.
some money from Metro Council.
Right. So
And
we're making-
in return, we're providing all kinds of free services to people who come to this facility. And the meeting space that we're sitting in right now is one of the meeting spaces that we make available for free to anybody within certain parameters. We have some guidance that wants to come and meet here. So that costs us money to do, and it certainly costs us money to build. We're on track to have hosted this year 700 community meetings in this space. And then anyone can come into the Opportunity Center and get a pretty wide range of free services. So that is the way that we return on the investment that Metro government made in us.
And I know when you say free, it's free to the clients, it's not free to you. You gotta have a budget, you gotta build it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It costs us
I
money.
understand
It
that
costs
part
us
of
money.
it, I do.
But we deliver it free to people who are looking for a better opportunity in their lives.
No, we
So
understand.
that's in line with our mission, and we do things that are in line with our mission. Metro government decided that that was a good investment of their money, and we're doing everything that we can to make sure that that's the case.
Any more questions?
You guys can come on up, I think there's only
Yeah,
three.
y'all come up and look, but, we appreciate it, and like I said, we plan to be great neighbors here with Goodwill and with your all's businesses, and, I mean, everywhere we go, that's our hope, is to be great neighbors.
So what's the follow-up after this? You had this listening session, you listened, but did you hear us? And are any other suggestions, ideas, or concerns you raised going to be addressed? How do we even know this goes any further than this formality?
In my mind, we started a dialogue tonight. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm not sure that you've asked me for anything really specific. But if you did, I would absolutely consider it. And I encourage you to, keep talking to us, keep talking to Goodwill. We're very open to ideas. Just in thinking about the idea of, community efforts and involvement. I don't know all the programming here at Goodwill, but I can tell you, for instance, we have several buildings this summer that are hosting summer lunch programs. People in the community organize them because kids aren't getting lunches at school, and so, they ask to use our community spaces to provide summer lunches. We're always, open to that. Job fairs in our space. You guys do, I'm sure, all kinds of stuff, but any of those things that we can help with, we're always willing to help. And I'm a baseball fan. We always love to sponsor baseball teams. Whatever we can do. But we've done everything from like the live workspaces that Tammy described. Helping people try to get into some kind of entrepreneurial career to an effort maybe to give out Thanksgiving meals, to an effort to serve lunches in lieu of school lunches in the summer. Anything specific, we're open to learning about it and trying to help.
And I've got my business cards here. Yeah, so that if you all have any suggestions, whatever, you can email me or call me. Like I said, I'm just in Shelbyville, so I'm only 30 minutes down the road.
You got it? I think he's still here, I just want to let him know.
Yeah.
You okay?
Until you pull up the cars. I'm gonna sit there. There you go.
Inline dreams. So there's really, really good system. But Canadians are all about energy efficiency.
Through every note, every performance, the arts connect us. The arts connect us through joy and through awe, bridging cultures and generations. From intimate theaters to the grandest stages, the arts bring us together, reminding us that we're never truly alone. When we experience the arts, we experience each other. Kentucky Performing Arts. The arts connect us.
If you do nothing else.
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 Stay live.
Healthy Beginnings Connect Us offers resources, classes, and more. Visit us at 1141 South 2nd Street or www.blackbirth.com.